Yeah, Lexi, I think we should crack on. Let's crack on. So
Okay.
welcome everyone. Welcome to today's session. This is our second session. Lexi, just some background. So basically, we chat a lot, me and you, and brought a few people that want to make that journey back to Ghana. They are interested in coming to Ghana, whether to work, whether to do a business.
Sure.
We had our first session 2 weeks ago, and we had a lawyer who had moved to Ghana in 2018 share his experience of moving from Australia. So we did a search, and people wanted to know about the recruitment, in recruitment, getting a job in Ghana. And I said, who better than Lexi? And because and because obviously you've made the move yourself to Ghana, you will be able to shed some light on the move itself, and then obviously talk more about the recruitment, and then there will be some sort of question and answer session for people to ask questions that that have been on their mind so far. So that's literally the background. But for those that don't know Lexi, I'm just going to say a little bit about her. She is the managing director of LX HR Solutions. She started here, and again she moved to Ghana. And she's doing well, whatever she says. I know she's doing well, but she'll tell you all about herself. So over to you, Lexi.
I'm doing okay. I think it's just an exaggeration. But good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you to French House Professionals for having me as a special guest speaker today. I'm so privileged. And thank you, Kwame, for allowing me to come and share my experiences and contacting me and reaching out to me for this opportunity. So I think I just wanted to start off with talk about myself. So my name is Lexi Osabuane. I was born and raised in London. I relocated 4 years ago. So I had 3 reasons why I moved. One of which was I have a teenage daughter, and I didn't want to raise her in London. It was just a preference of mine. Obviously, everyone has their own preference, but there were certain values and certain things that I wanted her to develop for herself, which she would not have been in the UK. So that was one thing. Secondly, my mum is getting older and all of her kids are in the UK. I'm the last one. So I thought, what a better opportunity to come and see what she does now that she's retired, who's looking after what. Touch wood, God forbid, if something happens to her, what do we know about her businesses, etc., etc. So that was the second main reason. And the third reason was I had come here once I graduated to do some voluntary work for 6 months, and I'd always said that was something I was going to do. So I worked in a teenage refuge home in Ebri, and I came to do that for a while. And I just fell in love with the place. Obviously, I'd been coming and going to and fro. But I was just really passionate about being here and contributing in the development space. And then also I'd met a few grads, everyone was complaining about unemployment, etc., etc. So I thought, okay, this might be a niche that I might be interested in looking at. Fast forward, I went back to London after my voluntary period, did a year of working, did my master's in HR development and consultancy, which is exactly what I do now. And then I relocated and I worked a bit. My last role before I moved actually was with the financial ombudsman in Canary Wharf. So that DLR train that you take on that cold weather, on that cold water. Oh, I used to dread it every morning. But yeah, so I did some time there in their HR department, and then I relocated to Ghana with my daughter. So when I first came, obviously, prior to planning, one of the key things that you need to have here is a car, because you need to be mobile, and a place to live. If you have these two things, are halfway there. So when I came, I didn't have a place to live. I actually spent a month, or was it maybe 2 weeks, a month with Ghana International School, the principal at the time. I spent a month in her house before I actually found a place. Because I was looking online, looking for places, nothing really quite tickled my fancy. When I came, in some of the houses that I was looking online to rent, they just weren't up to scratch. Like, it was in a rough area, there wasn't enough security, and so on and so forth. So it looks really good online, or it's really far. So it looks really good online, but in actual fact, you know, it was just too far from town, too far from my daughter's school, or what have you. And I think, I'm not sure, like many people, well, I've made the mistakes. For those that want to move with kids, I found a school initially called Merton International at Ridge. When you look on Google Maps, it seems like 15 minutes away to get to the school from Chasako, Isegon, where we were living, where we are currently, where we live. We were living there at that time, and then now. But it just seemed like 15 minutes away. But in reality, my daughter has to get up at 6 a.m., get ready, get to school, and traffic was a killer. That's definitely something you need to consider, where you plan on working and where you plan on living, and working out the distance realistically. Because again, it sounds really trivial, but when you're looking online for these things, it can be, it just can be inapt. But anyway, so found a school for her. Now we're living our daily lives. My mum gave me a banger of a car. It got me from A to B, and obviously these are some of the little comforts that you need. And I remember just being like, you know, like your typical UK girl. Like, anytime something happens, you're just moaning, whinging, why isn't this working? When I tell you, Ghana has taught me so much patience, it's unbelievable. Like, I've learned so much in the 4 years that I've been here. So yeah, so those were some of the motivations. I set up my organization, my agency, and hired a couple of people who would like to help me with screening, and then hired a national service personnel as well. And, you know, I did that working from a place in the Bonnet. It was a hub space where people shared offices. Again, humble beginnings. You know, I remember one of my first, so I had a client before I moved, Oasis Capital. We were looking, they're an investment firm, and we were looking for a GM for them. And then another client was called IBF. And I remember him coming into the office, and I'm sure he probably thought, oh yeah, I've been speaking to this girl on the phone, and you know, and when it came down to interview, I'm sure he thought he'd be in like some comfortable place. It was just like a 4-seater, plain tables, humble beginnings. And you know, we conducted interviews, but he really liked my approach, etc. So literally any business that came in for that year, IBF gave it to me. So yeah, I guess that was the beginning of what I guess I will continue to speak at. So Kwame, do you have a follow-up questions, or should I take questions now, or should I carry on with the presentation?
I think, yeah, if you carry on, and at the end, I mean, we'll have all the questions. But yeah, if you can carry on.
Cool.
All right, thank you.
Cool. So just from then, I mean, I had a bit of a network because I'd been coming and going, like I said, both professionally and just like friendship-wise. Every single networking event you can think of for my first year, I was there. From GIPC events, from events that I wasn't even invited to I was there. I was networking, I was sharing business cards, I was selling myself, I was exubrating confidence, I was doing all these things because I know I needed to be in a position where I can hire for companies, and I can put people in jobs, and I can help people set up HR policies and strategy and so on and so forth. That was the bigger picture for me. So every single event, when I tell you I've done the legwork from events that didn't even really matter. Like, you'd go somewhere, you give out a card, and maybe 6 months down the line, you get a call. Oh, I met you at this event, and you know, I know you recruit people. I'd love for you to hire, you know, help me hire. Anyway, so little by little, I got an opportunity to kind of develop myself, work on my networking skills, which is which was anyway like a gift that I guess I have. I'm really good at interacting with people, so that came really easy. But I guess for some of you, it won't always be that easy, and it might be challenging. But again, if that's a personal development aspect that you know you need to work on, then so be it. Because this is Ghana, where things happen on friendships and relationships and in networking situations. So so from that, I think, what was my first? From that, I got asked to join the Ghana Diaspora Homecoming Summit Committee. So I did that, and again, that opened doors because I was looking after the speakers. So I would contact the speakers, get the speakers, and try and convince them why they need to come and speak, even though the president sealed it. You know, and just really utilize my network for them to come and, you know, participate. So I used that opportunity to network with them. Again, there would always be a gala somewhere. You'd go, you kind of speak to people, you kind of have a fair idea of who's the CEO of what, who's the managing director of which government agency, and you know, you'd approach them after these events and you just go and pitch. Some of them needed executive assistants initially. Some of them needed like officers to work with. And through that, I've done everything from hiring directors to doing training in the ministries. And yeah, I guess that's it in a nutshell, really. But then I've also, of course, contributed in the sense that I've built my own also diaspora network where, you know, we have an event once a year called Diaspora Drive, where we look at people relocating back to Ghana and provide them with access and provide them with support, whether they want to live, work, or find a job, or invest in Ghana, whether it's in property, whether it's in agriculture, and so on and so forth. So that's some of the things that I've done this far, really.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Sorry to jump in here. One of the things you said earlier, I know we said no questions, but I think just something that I just remembered. One of the questions you said, yeah. I'm not sure if I'm right. You mentioned something about national service. Did you?
Yes, I did.
To do a national service?
So I didn't have to do a national service because I came in and I literally set up a business.
Okay.
And it wasn't one of the requirements for my limited liability, because obviously if you register as a limited liability, you have to register with someone else, and right. they've done their national service. So okay. I guess it kind of covers me in that sense.
I see.
But a lot of people that are coming, a lot of people that are being recruited via, that are being recruited via international companies aren't required, again, to do their national service.
Okay.
And some people also start up their own thing, or are hired by through their network. So that's kind of, sideline. But depending on what you want to do, sometimes you are required to do your national service.
Okay.
Even if you're 38 years old and you want to come and work, sometimes you do have to, just start.
Yeah. The reason why I ask is I think I was having a conversation back in December, and the person mentioned that if I wanted to come and work in Ghana, I would have to do my national service. And I said, wow, okay. So that's something new. Thank you very much. Now, I think the main reason
just to interject as well. Sorry, I'm so sorry to interject. So sure. When, for example, when I first moved, in the first year, I wasn't making a lot of money. It probably would have been best if I'd done my national service and gotten my 500 cedis a month, because at least you wouldn't have to, you can always come to an agreement with them. You won't necessarily have to go in every day, and it would have been something to do, and also a great opportunity to network. So for those that are actually thinking about it, that can be in a position to do a national service, I highly recommend it. But if I'm ever Minister of Employment and Labour Relations, we're going to have to about that policy, but that's another conversation for another day.
Well, so that means we'll have to make sure that you do get the Minister of Employment in the future for. Thank you. Now, in terms of recruitment, I think one of the things that I find difficult is when I'm looking for jobs on LinkedIn in Ghana, or some of the jobs, I don't want to mention names, but some of the job sites that you see a job on there and it looks like, oh wow, this looks like a very nice job. You would check and the job was posted a year ago. And so, what is the situation? How does one actually find a job in Ghana, really?
I feel like for us professionals, it's way more challenging. So 2 things to that, right? The first thing is there are probably about 60 online forums that supposedly have jobs online for people to apply. Yes, we all know in Ghana, things are just slow, just the nature of things. So you need to come to that understanding. Things are genuinely just slow. I can have a conversation with a client in January about a role. We can sign off of that role, but from signing to interview can literally take a month.
Wow.
That should be literally maximum a week to develop job descriptions, a week to do checks, a week to do shortlistings. That should take a week. It can take a month. So yes, there are some jobs that you may apply for. Like I know people that applied for jobs. I was going to mention a company. Thank God I didn't. I know people that have applied for jobs and haven't heard anything. But 3 months down the line, they're like, oh, you applied for a job with so bank, or you applied for so corporation, and they're only now getting a response 3 months later.
Wow.
A lot of the job sites. So one of the popular ones are like Jobberman. It's interesting because maybe like every month I get a call from them saying, do you have any jobs we can post? And you think there are major online companies that have all these jobs, but yet they are still looking for tangible roles to put people in. So I guess it's the nature of it being a slow, painful process. And then some jobs, they put it out there and then they find someone to fill that role and they just never update their system. Whether it be a job portal or an actual company or LinkedIn. But I mean, I use LinkedIn a lot for my company. We use various hiring sites from different parts of the world. So in Germany, there's something called Sing, which is also like a LinkedIn. And there's, various ones. But I ensure that I end my jobs once the job date is closed. So if the job date is closed on the 20th of March, it's closed. But I try not to practice that because it can be frustrating for, being at the other end. I mean, I've been there. I wouldn't want to post a job that people are expecting to get a response from and then they don't. One thing that we do as well, that's probably, I'm not sure if anyone's applied for a job from HR Solution, but one thing that we do is probably annoying, and the reason, and I'll explain why we do it, is when we get an influx of CVs, we don't respond to everyone, or you just get a basic, you didn't meet the basic criteria, and therefore you weren't successful for this role. But one thing we do is we don't respond to everyone, and the ones that we potentially want to interview or find out more information from are the ones that we respond to. And again, people don't appreciate that. But obviously, if you haven't heard from us within maybe perhaps 48 hours or a week max, then the honest truth is you probably weren't successful for that role. So yeah. So I hope that answered your question.
No, that's fine. That's good. I mean, I don't want to be the one asking all the questions. Do we have questions from anyone else?
Yes, Kwame.
Yes, Adisa, hi.
Hi, hi, Lexi.
Hi, Adisa.
Hi. Yeah, so I was in Ghana last year, just trying to, scout the market a little bit. And after a month, I just decided, look, this is not going to work. I think you really need to come in there and stay. Just to, you need a whole year to just get yourself adjusted.
I'm telling you, literally.
But so what do you say for us professionals who are here who want to come in? I know you said networking, but not everyone is very adept at doing that. And, most of us also don't have what we call connections back home in terms. So what would be like your practical 3 key things you would say we should be doing right now?
I think the first one is definitely, as tedious as it is, definitely still reach out to your online portals, reach out to agencies like mine. I mean, there's probably like 5 of us. Reach out to agencies like mine, be proactive. There's so many expat groups and diaspora groups. Reach out there, inform people that you're looking for an opportunity in Ghana. Secondly, I would say, what does your CV look like? What are your interview skills like? Have you brushed up on them? Have you updated your CV? Because when people do see them, they need to matter. They need to stick into our minds. They need to be relevant for the job role that you're looking for, or the industry that you're looking for. And then lastly, as much as it may not necessarily be tirade, it's actually getting a job. I think it's important to have other opportunities in mind. There's so many investment opportunities. Don't limit yourself to thinking you can only get a job in Ghana. You can come and, or even online, you can find an opportunity and think, maybe I'm going to invest in this. That money that you make out of it can probably settle you here for the next 3 to 6 months. And whilst you're here, if a job is what you're actually looking for, you can use that opportunity to do the legwork and to apply and to have face-to-face interviews. So I would say those are my top three tips for finding a job. But yes, you're right. It's definitely not easy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adina. Anyone else? I have a couple of questions, but is there anyone else that have any questions for Lexi?
Yeah, I have a question. Here's Alice.
Hi, Alice.
Hi, Alice.
See, with the with the multinational companies that you work with, are there any that are actually asking for African talents, or do they just want to have a candidate?
No, it's interesting because I don't know if you follow the news much, but as of 2016, companies had to hire locals. They had a threshold to hit in order to get some tax incentives. Were you aware of that? So a lot of my clients are always looking for local talent. One of the reasons why I've got the clients that I do is purely because I've got access to the diaspora. So meaning people that have either international working experience or international educational experience. That's the only reason why they come to me, because they know that they'll find someone who's got that diverse experience, who's going to come to the company and come and add value, and come and create a different type of team culture. So yeah, companies definitely do ask for that. But obviously there are some skill sets and there are some things that if they find other ethnic groups to fill the particular role, they will also. But it's not limited to one group or another with a multinational. So.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi guys. So I want to ask Lexi, thanks so much for everything you've said so far. My question is around salary expectations. Would you say that companies in Ghana offer competitive salaries for professionals like us? Can we expect to maintain a similar standard of living, or is that being unrealistic?
When you come to Ghana, there is a quote: cut your coat according to your size. It is so hard to find a job that is going to pay you what you deserve. and I tell you that for
wow.
free. But the only reason why I'm here and it keeps me going is you find other opportunities and other ways of making money that you probably didn't even think that you had in you, right? You find yourself emceeing at some event and that you make a quick $1,000 there for 3 hours. Like, you just become so creative because you need money to survive. You need to be able to live a certain standard of living. But a lot of companies, you do find companies that generally just pay well because they have the budget to. I have an oil and gas company, obviously they're oil and gas, so they have money. They're pretty fair. And I'll give you an example. We're doing some recruitment for them, and I spoke to someone in the UK, Jonas. He's looking for a job. I saw his CV. I put him forward for this role. He's currently in the UK on something like £40,000. This role equivalent is probably like paying £22,000. It comes with a car and it comes with accommodation, but he's having to take almost half of a cut of his salary. So how is he going to live that lifestyle that he's living there in the UK? But again, how badly do you want to be in this country? How badly do you want to be part of the Ghana story? How badly do you want to be close to your family and friends? How badly do you not want to sit on that DLR train to Canary Wharf every morning? It just depends on what your aims are and ambitions are and what reason why you want to be here, you know? But you're not, do not expect to have the same salary. Do not expect to buy strawberries because they're £10. So you just will supplement it with mangoes, which are cheap. Like, it couldn't get any more real than that. And then when you get a cheeky holiday to London, you can go and binge on strawberries. Like, honestly, it can't get real. You can tell I'm craving strawberries right now. But it cannot get realer than that, honestly. So it just depends on how bad you want it and what you're willing to concede over the other.
Okay, thanks so much.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question.
Lexi, so my ambition to get 100K a year is not realistic, yeah?
Please. It's not impossible, but if you get, take it.
Kwame, I was going to ask that. I was going to ask Lexi, I mean,
we need 100K.
I know, 100K, at the going rate.
Exactly. Lexi,
Charlie, at this point, if we get 50, please just take it.
Thank you for that. Now, the one question that I wanted to, I think someone sent was that what are the level of hiring that you do in terms of seniority? Are they just senior level or mid-level?
Okay, so we do everything from finding people for internships, and national service, right up to vice president. I'm currently actually recruiting a vice president for an investment firm. I think I even sent you the job role.
I think so, yeah.
For that. Yeah. So it goes wide, and everything from like construction to investment to oil and gas, educational institution. Yeah, just a variety, just what comes our way.
I see. And what about, do you recruit for the public sector as well? Because I know that with the public sector, sometimes you can get a nice car, a nice house to stay in.
Yeah, but I mean, the likelihood of that is very, very slim. Like, I got approached to help them recruit for GRA. There was an executive role at GRA. But they didn't want to pay enough. And yeah, and politics also come to play.
Yeah.
You're better off finding a private company to work with, if you ask me. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Lexi, it's me again. So I caught the part when you were talking about finding a school for your kid. So I'm coming from that angle as well. So of course we've got free school here, except the private schools. But was that easy to get? was that easy in terms of?
I'm really trying to sugarcoat this stuff for you guys. I don't know how well I can, but school fees. You like living a decent lifestyle in Ghana is like living higher middle class in the UK. Like you send your kids to private school and it's very normal. You have a car and it's very normal. Like these are privileges that we potentially take for granted, but you are living a middle class lifestyle. So school fees are one of the things you're going to have to pay if you want to send your kids to an international school. Having said that, there are a few good public schools, and maybe you can talk further, offline, that in hindsight, like I would have sent my daughter to Achimota. In hindsight, she would have gone to Achimota. I mean, our president went there, and it's not that far from, where we currently live. So again, it just depends on what your pocket looks like, how much you're willing to invest in either education or a place to live, or security, or you want a 4x4. It just depends on all these variables. But yeah, you have options in terms of schools. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. I had a question as well. Thanks, Lexi, for doing this.
Hi,
the question I had was around job security. So what's job security like generally in Ghana? And is there a way to sort of...
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, go on. Is there a way to sort of...
Is there a way to get clued up on general employment practices? Like notice periods, how long it can be before someone lets you go, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, the general, our labour laws are pretty similar to the UK, funny enough. So actually not funny, criminalised by them. But, the same sort of standards apply. So you're in 3 months probation, you have to give 30 days notice period if you find another job. You call in if you're going to be sick or late. Certain things are the same. In terms of job security, what's interesting is when a Ghanaian, someone who's gone to school here, lives here, etc., when you find them in a company, they have usually been there for more than 5 years. You will find women or young men that have been in the same role, not necessarily the same position, because they may have moved department to department, but they wouldn't have probably gone, high up the ranks too much. But like my bank manager, she's been in that same role for 12 years. And you see that a lot. So if you find a job here, God knows you're going to be in it for a really long time, because there just aren't that many great jobs. And the competition is high. Ghanaians, everyone's gone to school. I mean, I don't know how many of you guys speak Tree, but it'll be any, my dear. So, you're not going to come and be any indifferent. You just also have to prove yourself like the next person that went to Legon, or like the next person that's, worked a bit with Stanbic and is now looking for a job with a private investment company. But you're not exactly going to get a job and get fired and not be able to do anything about it. So yeah, I don't know if that's answered your question, but I hope it has.
It has, and if I could just steal a second one, hopefully it wouldn't take too long, is there any kind of general view on people that have been hired from outside of Ghana, like people who've come into Ghana to work and people who are actually, born and raised in Ghana working? Is there sort of a viewpoint in the office, office politics?
Yes, so I guess when you come in, and I guess these are all like perspectives, right? When you come in, we just have a different aura. We just have a different, understanding of things. And there's certain team cultures and company cultures that are derived just from being in Ghana, right? So you've been to Ghana, you've been to school with the CEO, so there's some jovialness, there's some certain cultures that you won't indulge in, and it's not necessarily because you've come from somewhere. No, it's not necessarily because you didn't, grow up with them, but it's purely just because you've come from somewhere where that isn't a big, that isn't a. Oh, sorry, I just typed something. That just isn't, in your nature, because we work a certain way in the UK where everyone's just to themselves, so you just have to get used to that culture. And obviously they see this, they see our behavior, and some are threatened by it. Some just don't like us for liking our sake. But you just keep on, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, work is work. People can't separate the two. You might find someone that will try and drive you crazy and do your head in, but then you might find people that are also very, very supportive. You can't say in any situation, because every situation could be different. So yeah, but I would hope that if you were to come here, you would have a good experience.
Lexi, I've got a question. Two actually. The first one is just to touch upon what Yvonne asked in terms of the work culture. Sorry. Jackie. Jacqueline.
Oh, hi, Jackie.
Hey. So the first one is about the work culture. So I think sometimes we have the assumption of we're coming in to help and we're coming in with better expertise, but that sometimes isn't always the case. We're just as good as the local there, and maybe it's a deficit because we don't have the cultural experience. So when we're going into the workplace in London, especially as a Black Londoner from less privileged background, most of the time we're taught, okay, pronounce your T's properly, don't say in it, don't say like, and those things. So we're kind of coached by whoever to kind of adapt to the workplace here. What are the things that you would say we should do to avoid kind of what you were saying, like standing out like a sore thumb? What are the work cultures that we should kind of bear in mind?
I think definitely be yourself, but be humble enough to learn, because obviously, again, we have this assumption of we're coming with better. But don't get me wrong. There are structures in the UK that work for the UK, but there are also structures in Ghana that work for Ghana. Don't think that there isn't a structure, and that's where I think we have issues. Sorry?
No, I was agreeing with you. I was agreeing.
Yeah, and that's where we have issues, because things do work. They just work differently. So it's about learning to be humble and ask questions, and also share your knowledge and impact here and where, like here and there, wherever you can. But then also don't come across like pretentious, like, oh, I know better than you, because that's what they see automatically as soon as you open your mouth. So yeah, I would say definitely that's one of the key things that you need to do.
I think someone sent a question here saying, how hard is it to find a job within the health sector, and what kind of roles could someone expect?
I guess it depends on what you're doing. Are you a nurse? Are you a doctor? But I know the private hospitals are always looking for people. They're always looking for people. The public sector won't be able to pay you. I'm sorry, they just won't be able to pay you. But the private sector, depending on what it is you're coming to do, whether you're an anesthesiologist or whether you're a psychiatrist, they're always looking for talent.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Any other question?
So Alexia, I had a second question. So I think we appreciate your honesty and your bluntness with how hard and the realities of actually moving to Ghana and what to expect. But if we actually, there are tips that you said, you can make a side hustle with MCing or, having a side business and stuff. If you were actually being realistic and said, I want to move back to Ghana in 2 years. For example, when I was having a career change, I was told to do X, Y, Z. What are the steps that you actually would say, do this? And if you're fervent with it, you will actually get a role somewhere. So if we're working backwards and say we want to relocate, what other things we should do?
Yeah, another good question. Okay, so definitely look at the type of industry that you want to go into and the role. Research it as much as, maybe you might even identify a company. I mean, some people have it on their hearts to want to work for Telewall or Oil or Deloitte in Ghana. Companies like Nestle, though, are a bit more forgiving. So if you're coming into Ghana, companies like Nestle and Puma, if you're coming into Ghana and you're looking for a job, they will definitely consider you. If you send them your CV, they're very, very active in terms of people coming in for the diaspora. So it's about you really placing yourself as valuable to them. So that's one thing. Identify what industry and identify what role or even company potentially, and kind of pitch what they stand for to them. The second thing would be to keep an open mind. Again, people, probably sounds like I'm contradicting myself. I'm saying, if you're going to go into the industry, but then you have to keep an open mind in the sense that may not necessarily work for you. So you might, you know, want to look at other areas and other transferable skills and other industries that you might want to work in. And the last thing would be probably what I've said before, just be humble to learn, be humble and hungry to learn, because again, we're just like, oh, you know what, we're not going to take a salary cut. I'm not doing that. I can't do that. I have a lifestyle to maintain. You can't come with that attitude. You're already setting yourself up to fail, you know, because we all literally had to start from the bottom. And I said, you know, in the beginning, talking about my old office and, you know, the last office that I was at, and the difference in just your environment and how it affects your mood, and how like even traffic affects your mood, and all of this stuff. Literally just being humble enough to grace through this thing. So I definitely say work on your temperament, look at the industry you're planning on going into, down to the company, and keep an open mind.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I wanted to ask. I mean, obviously, you have that experience in the job sector, but again, you touched on side hustles, and so something maybe I wanted to touch on a little bit was investment. I mean, what are some type of investments that's available to some of us abroad? I think today we were having some sort of conversation around treasury bills and which companies to invest with. But
Okay.
From someone like you that's in Ghana, because I know the Accra Cafe, is that Cafe Accra, right?
Cafe
Accra. You set that up recently.
Yes.
So when you're ready to go to Ghana, please go to Cafe Accra. You go and meet
Cafe Accra, we're in East Legon.
Yep.
Please come have some pancakes, English
It
breakfast.
looks amazing, Lexi.
Oh,
It looks
nice. I've been there once.
but yeah,
that's my new baby. But no, I think it's important to have a side hustle, and I love talking about like investment opportunities and what's have you. I mean, treasury bills are easy, right? Just put the money somewhere and hope that it grows. The only time we have an issue is when there's a pandemic and the banks are like, oh, we can't add this month to it because we're in COVID. But I think finding investment opportunities are very pivotal to your survival here. Finding other opportunities to also make money, very, very pivotal to opportunities here. My daughter's just walked in. Texting. So five things I always say and I recommend that people should invest in is one of it is agriculture. So food, any part of that supply chain, from farming to packaging to selling, you're gonna make some money. Secondly, I would say housing, because people always need a place to lay their heads. And that can be anywhere from, depending on, again, what your pocket looks like, that can be anywhere from East Legon to Kaswa. You will find someone that needs somewhere to stay, or even down to doing things as Airbnb if you already have a property here. So food, housing, transportation again is one of the key things. I mean, when I came initially, one of my first investments I did was Uber. I still have 2 Uber cars left. I think initially I had like 5. Again, it comes with its own challenges, but transport, you can never go wrong. People always need to get from A to B. People always need to get from A to B. I guess if you have some small 5K saved up somewhere that you want to invest, you can at least buy like 3 churros that could just be working for you. At least just seeing money every day is definitely a way to go. Medicines, so anything medical or healthcare, so whether it's drugs, whether it's, I don't know, toothpaste, or whether it's anything that you can get your hands on that you can sell, whether it in large quantities or smaller quantities, whether it's a shop or whether it's a container. Again, that notion of seeing money every day is so pivotal. Like, I'm telling you, when you don't have a client for this month or the next month, but yet you're able to get money from, I don't know, because you have 10 kiosks or like 2 Uber cars, and you're able to buy petrol and buy electricity with that. There's nothing quite like it. So I would definitely say, you know, look into these opportunities. And of course, like there's other opportunities that will come about. Can you come and host an event for me? Can you partake in this survey? You get a bit of money. There's other things like that, but you definitely want to find something that's your own. And it won't be easy, but it will manifest, and it will play well and be necessary.
Thank you so much.
I've seen there's a few questions.
I think there's one here. Okay, hi Lexi. How does your firm work? Do you take CVs and look for the right position for people, or you only make calls when you have the opportunity? And also,
we only kind of make calls when we have an opportunity, but I will take like CVs. I've just dropped my email, so just if you have CVs, just put in the subject line, French house professionals. I'll pay attention and I'll kind of, review your CVs and see if there are any opportunities, and just check in every now and then, even if it's once a month,
Yeah, there's another one which says, do you also recruit for research consulting companies?
Yeah, so actually last year there was one called, am I allowed to say company names in this? I'm not sure. But there was one called MRS that we did some recruitment for. So again, if those opportunities come up and you're looking, then yeah, for sure.
Fantastic. Any other questions?
I'll take one more.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I've answered everyone's question.
Okay, I'll have one, the last one then.
Oh, sorry, I've got a question.
Okay.
Oh.
Lexi, how did you get the
concept? Sorry, who are you? What's your name?
My name is Winston, guys. I'm an adopted Ghanaian. I'm originally from Sierra Leone, but then grew up in Ghana, and now I'm in London.
Okay.
But then I plan to relocate and return one of these days. So you will be hearing from me, Lexi, one of these days.
Okay.
So
sure.
My question is, Cafe Accra, how did you get the idea, and how long did it take from the conception to it being a reality?
Oh, that's a good question. So it's a funny one. So I've always been saying I wanted to do something. So do you mind turning the light? I've always been saying I wanted to do something like get extra income, invest in something else. So for those that know, I do a lot of different things. I've got an online events company and Diaspora Drive, which is the conferences that I do, and obviously my recruitment agency. So made a bit of money last year, and I wanted to invest some of it. I got a partner who also put some money, a silent partner who also put some money in, went halves. And I'm really passionate about food. So for those that know me, I'm always cooking. I'm always like trying out new dishes. And I thought, oh my God, why don't I just, offer people some food and do what I love in the process, like give my chefs, ideas and things to do. So I would say from actually starting and like finding a place, getting carpenters to come in, getting electricians to come in, fixing it all up, I would say it took a solid 6 months to do. But I was constantly there. I was on their necks every day, and including hiring, of course. But I'd seen like a few, waiters and waitresses and chefs that I'd already been previously speaking to. And yeah, I would say it took 6 months, and now it exists. Well, now it's closed because of COVID, but hopefully we'll open again next week. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Oh yes, definitely. Thank you. That's really good. And I will definitely visit on Christmas. By God's grace, COVID will be finished by then, and we'll be free to celebrate with you.
Very, very optimistic, Winston.
Right. Sure.
Any last words?
Mami, you want to say something?
Any last words for us? Any encouragement or just any last words?
Yeah, so I guess like now that you're in London, this is and you guys are all locked home. This is an opportunity to really figure out, do you really want to come? And if you do, this is a really good time, because once COVID is done, if you've got a bit of money, this is the perfect time to be buying land, because everyone's going to want to sell something of theirs, and this is where you can really leverage and bargain. So a land can be like $30,000. You could probably get it at 25 just because of the climate that we're in. So I would advise you guys, you know, take advantage of that, make smart investments so that your move is much, much, much easier. And you don't suffer like I did.
Brilliant. Well, at least we all have you to come back to.
For sure. So I've dropped my email. Please keep in touch. Thank you once again for having me, Kwame.
Brilliant.
And yeah, I wish you all stay safe.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, guys, for attending. Hopefully we can come up with another session in a couple of weeks' time, and that will be beneficial to you as well. Thank you so much, guys.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lexi.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.